So scrolling down TikTok, and I'd seen a lot of Olympic hype. And I thought, I'm here, I'm going to compete in the Olympics. Let me share my side of things. Yeah, and that's when I went from 0 followers to 100,000 in 1 week.
I'm here today with Team GB and their partner YoungMinds to help celebrate their new campaign, Out in the Open. What's your kind of like first emotion when I say social media?
I love social media. When I think back to when I started the sport, there were loads of people who inspired me, and even when I started the sport, social media wasn't that big, and I would have given anything to like watch Instagram stories from Jess Ennis, or from 400 metre runners that I've looked up to. So I think now, like being able to share that, I just think about little girls who are watching my Instagram or my YouTube, and I just think, what would I want them to see? I remember someone said on my YouTube recently, there was a comment that said, I wonder how she's going to compete if she's posting this much. And then I went on to compete later that month, and I competed really well. And I just thought to myself, is it true? Like, do you really think it's true? Why is it affecting you? Having the right people around you whose opinions are probably a lot more meaningful to you, people who actually know you, that's really important as well.
Talk about your kind of TikTok rise, and can you talk about that whole experience?
During the 2021 Olympics, COVID was still rife, it was still happening around the world. And we unfortunately came into close contact with someone on the plane. So 6 of us got put into quarantine at the time. We were known as COVID-6. But that was when I was preparing for the Olympics, but I was in a room on my own for about 21, 22 hours a day. And this was when TikTok was still very new to me. I think I'd just created an account a few months before. Yeah. And so when I came out of quarantine, I was doing like, here are things you didn't know about the Olympic Village, and here's how. One went viral, and it was how we do laundry at the Olympic Village.
I remember it like going into another bubble before we went out to Tokyo, because you get COVID.
Yeah.
That's your Olympic journey done.
Yeah.
It was such a kind of stressful, scary period.
Yeah.
You just had to be careful wherever. You just didn't want to go near anybody, did you?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like almost social media and TikTok specifically in that scenario gave you this almost something else that like really helped?
Yeah, because it was, I mean, my heart sunk when they said there's been a positive case. It was literally like my ears were ringing, my heart sunk. I was like, oh my God, what's happened? So we got put into a room, and it was waiting. Like, we had to do, I think, 3 COVID tests a day, and it was waiting for those results. And that waiting game was just horrible. And I think that's when I was scrolling on TikTok and making those TikToks, and it was a distraction, because you're just worrying about what's going to happen if you do get a positive test. And I was convinced I had COVID, and it was just panicking.
And you had that worry 3 times a day?
Yeah, so they said if you don't get a positive case in 3 days, you're fine, you're clear to go. But then now, okay, hear this. So 3 days have come past, all negative tests. I'm waiting to be released. And they're like, oh, actually now it's 5 days incubation period. So 5 days goes, oh, it's 7 days. Oh, it's 10 days.
Really?
Yeah, so it was the waiting the anticipation was just horrible. So it was nice to have distraction. I think I was posting on TikTok, once a day, twice a day, maybe at that point. So it was, it was good. Otherwise, I don't actually know what I would have done in that time had it not been for social media.
Am I right in saying that you carried the bags for Jess Ennis?
Yes. She was probably my biggest idol growing up, especially, I think I watched athletics for the first time around the 2008 Olympics. And that's when I think she was coming up into the senior world of athletics. We had the opportunity to volunteer at the 2012 Olympics, which was just incredible. So where I grew up was in East London, so the next town over from Stratford, which is where the Olympics were held. And I literally watched like the Olympic Park rise from the ground up. Stratford pre-2012 was not a place that you frequently wanted to visit. So then to have this new Olympic Park, a new postcode, was just incredible to witness. We were one of the only few people who were allowed on the field of play, and I think standing on a track with 100,000 people watching and cheering and screaming and camera flashes everywhere. And that's when I started training properly. Literally, I think the next day, I went down to the track and I said to my coach, I want to do this properly. And he was like, you've got to show up to training.
What was that feeling? Like, was it nerves? Was it excitement? Like, what was it?
It was surreal. I was like, this is Stratford. Like, I literally grew up down the road and there's 100,000 people here from all over the world. And also just seeing athletes up front and personal, I think, because you see them on television, you can almost feel that they're superhuman. Number one, she was a lot shorter than I thought she was. But that she was just this human who trained really hard and worked really hard and was going on to achieve incredible things, made me feel a lot closer to the sport, or the elite sport. And I just thought, what's stopping me from being able to do something like this? I remember that shift. Yeah, a lot changed after 2012.
2017, turned senior. Times were still improving, and then you was like going in a good direction. 2021, you faced some big challenges.
So I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, or MS as it's known as. There were some things that were going on in my body that I just couldn't explain. The left side of my body was spasming. I was experiencing loss of feeling, pins and needles. Like, never thought it'd be MS, even though my twin sister had been diagnosed with it for so many years. I was just so focused on making the Olympic team that when I didn't make the Olympic team for the 400, it just hit me. I just thought, what if this is MS? It all happened so quickly. I think we had 2 weeks between the Olympic trials and going to the Olympics. And in those 2 weeks, it was go to this doctor, go to this doctor.
It can affect a lot of things. Arm and leg movements, coordination.
Sensory feelings, vision, hearing. What my twin sister and I have is known as relapsed remitting MS. So that means that we go between periods of relapses and remission. So now what we try and do is optimize those periods of remission. I think that's the biggest challenge for us. One of the biggest triggers is stress, which, as you know, as a sports person, we deal with stress almost daily. I learned a lot of lessons from 2021, and I think pushing through periods where I felt really tired. Of course, chronic fatigue is another symptom. Pushing through those moments of fatigue and I'm tired, and it didn't help me at all. Coming into this Olympic year, I'm in such a better position. I'm healthier and more confident, and being true to yourself.
The period after Tokyo to now,
Yep.
I feel like you've just completely used it to an advantage and absolutely rocketed, almost come into your own. Would you say that's like, it's felt like that?
Definitely, yeah. I think post 2021, I mean, I thought that was the lowest I've ever been. And if I could go back in time and tell myself one thing, it would be that I would be okay. That's when I realized a lot of things about myself. And one of the biggest things was the resilient side of the sport, and just how much it takes to be on the top. And I just thought, I don't want to stop now. Like, you know, I'm so close to achieving my goals.
How are you feeling in an Olympic year with Paris Uncle?
Really, really positive now coming into the Olympics. I think it does feel like everything's kind of fallen into place. I think the last 3 years have been a lot of figuring out things, figuring out coaching, figuring out what works best for me. And I think everything just feels like it's fit and it's all fallen into place now, which is great.
But I think, I'd love chatting with you, and appreciate your time.
Yeah, I can't wait to be in Paris together. That would be really fun.